Hello and welcome to ET Brand Equity presents The Big Leap, powered by CleverTap, an exclusive chat show featuring pioneers from India's 12 largest and fastest growing brands. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and during these conversations, we'll bring you an inside look into the growth stories and success mantras of businesses that have taken a big leap and understand the nuts and bolts of how they identified gaps in the market and created solutions which transformed consumer behavior. Well, today's story is about a couple of passionate gamers who have changed the Indian gaming market forever with a vision and belief that Indian audiences will love to play online. Gameskraft has changed the way people see this category. Launched in 2017, Gameskraft has delighted the Indian gaming community with skill-based games and is a record holder for the world's largest rummy tournament. It relentlessly works towards building a safe, secure, and responsible gaming environment for every user. So, would you like to know how they did it? Then join us for this wide-ranging conversation with Prithvi Singh, founder of Gameskraft, and Sumanta Sengupta, Vice President of Marketing at Gameskraft. Prithvi, Sumanta, great to have you with us. Looking forward to our conversation. And as a gamer myself, I love to hear, how the builders think about this ecosystem. So we'll start with you, Prithvi. You were an avid gamer as well. We're kindred spirits that way at NSIT. And after graduating, and this is the story I want to know, because after graduating, you worked for a B2B company and a B2C company, B2B being Trilogy and B2C being Growfers. And then you went on to found Gameskraft in 2017. Kafi interesting safar raha. So usually those who are interested in sort of making a career in gaming, they go through a, say, developer route. You took the entrepreneurial route, which has a lot of uncertainty, lot of instability. So what motivated you to take this big leap?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me in this session, right? From the beginning itself, I was a gamer. I had interest in gaming. So my journey started right from the college. By that time, I was a gamer. I used to play a lot of games in my college days.
Which one?
So there were a lot of games, like there was a Quake 3 Arena, there was
yes.
CS, right?
That's
there
a classic.
There was a lot of first-person shooting games. Then there were a lot of small games also, like Snakes and Ladders. And then there was a bricks games as well. But later point in time, when I started, developing the code, I learned the coding, started developing computer programs, and then graphics programming as well. Then I realized that I could make smaller games as well, right? But the journey started exactly when in my internship, I got an opportunity to build a game for a company, right? So I got very excited, and then since then I moved from a gamer role to a game developer role, right? But back that point of time, I realized that the market or the Indian ecosystem is not yet ready for the mobile-based games, right? That game that I developed that point of time was very basic, right? It was very small, like two tanks fighting with each other, very basic game that I developed. But
this whole idea of running a business, that the fact that you can build a game, that your capability is there, but this route of building a business, how did you make that leap?
Right. So what I would say that I always had a dilemma that what is the right time to go into the entrepreneurship, right? But since the market was not that right, and I myself was a very basic developer, I would say at that point of time. So I thought that let's gain the expertise, and then both the technical and the non-technical part of the business.
So that explains your resume that you went to a B2B and B2C company, right?
So I went into different organizations, learned both B2B and B2C type of skills, right, to develop the businesses. But back in 2017, if I go back then, at that point of time, India was seeing a great change in terms of the smartphone penetration and the internet. Progressively, the internet was getting more and more affordable to the common man, right? And then from the beginning, I always thought that a great product using the great technologies that are available will be the key to success in establishing a self-sustainable business. Right. So that point of time, I thought that this is the right time. I have gained enough skill set to develop a great product, and India is also ready for it. And I always thought that the Make in India philosophy is a great thing to have. We should build the games in India for the Indians.
All
right. So that point of time, I was lucky. I would say that I was lucky that I could get over my dilemma of starting the entrepreneurship and then build this gaming company, a lot of games which are loved by the nation, right? A lot of players we have today, and hopefully by the world also, I would say.
You press the start button for the game, and here we are.
Yeah.
We'll explore more on that, but before that, let me come to your origin story as well, Sumanta, because you joined Gameskraft at the start of 2019. So I want to know, what was going through your mind on taking this big league after working with the likes of, say, Oyo and Google?
Right. So I had the fortune of starting working with Google back in 2007 when Indian internet ecosystem was being built, and there I learned the tricks of the trade. What is on marketing all about? What is digital all about? And as I would have it. I was at when e-commerce revolution started, and I'm talking in 2010. So then I was part of the e-commerce industry and been part of Oyo as well. So I have been lucky enough to be part of all new evolving stories, and I have seen them getting built from the scratch. And same with Oyo at a hotel aggregation. Nobody knew what aggregation was back then, and we had a lot of aggregatory ecosystems coming up there as well. So, and then I was thinking, what new can we do? So, gaming was coming up. We could hear the next big potential is in gaming, and fortunately, somebody from Prithvi's team reached out to me saying, "Sumanta, would you like to take a dabble at, at gaming?" And I had absolutely no experience what gaming was all about. So I came, I spoke to Prithvi, and I really liked the product that he has envisioned to build, the processes that he envisioned to set. And they were in complete alignment with what I wanted to do personally, right? And his personal involvement also, in how he took day-to-day activities was very inspiring, and that was very core to what I wanted to do as well. So
the appeal of the new is what gets you.
Yes. So basically, do what no one has done before. So basically, then I took the big leap into Gameskraft, and it has been more than 3 years, and every day is challenging. Every day I look up to coming to office. There never has been a single dull day which I said, what do I do going to office? And then I say, like, what can't I do in office today? So this leap and the big leap of faith has worked really well for me.
That's great. And no day is a dull day that you work and that you like working where you do. Absolutely. And the initial days are even more exciting. So I'm going to divert the conversation on that aspect, because we also try to understand the origin story now of the organization. So Prithvi, I'll come to you. Prithvi, we spoke about the origin stories of both of you. Let's look at the origin story of the company and the conversations that drive it, because there's always that influence. So how did early conversations with friends and seniors shape the way that you thought about attracting the initial set of users for your multiplayer game, which involved pay to play, which at that time was a very niche concept?
Yeah. So of course, pay to play was niche at the beginning of our journey. But as with all the games, specifically online games, you need a lot of players to play against with, right? Nobody would like to come to your platform, and you are an entertainment platform, right? So if I come to your platform and there is nobody else available whom I should play with, then it's not a good experience.
Itna sannata kyun hai?
Sannata kyun hai, bhai, right? There's a wastage of time, and of course, there is always a limited time a player would be in your platform, right? So a lot of interesting discussions happened that what should be the strategy to, first of all, of course, we are building a product, which will be great. We will ensure that the overall experience of the product will be good. But what should we do to get the initial set of users? So a lot of discussions went on with my friends and seniors. Then I also, if I can
Any
sets-
anecdotes that you remember?
anecdotes
Any
I can-
conversation, chai pe charcha, which happened?
Yeah, Chai Pe Chai happened with my previous colleagues. So in my previous organization, I organized a table tennis tournament just to find out who all are the great players in our company in that point of time. So there also we organized a TT tournament in the office, and which helped us find out all the good players in the organization. So similar type of discussions happened with friends and my seniors, that we should organize some big event which we will promote our product. We'll say this new brand has arrived in the market, and everybody should come here and try out our new platform.
Test bed jaisa.
Test bed, right? And but so yeah, a lot of those discussions, and if we get that initial set of users and the product is good, then rest of the journey would be a little bit easier.
But it wasn't that easy, because as you mentioned, you took that idea, you launched Gamecraft with a big event, that big Rummy culture tournament which came about, where I read about it, the servers, you mentioned that the servers crashed during the very first round. So how did you recover from that setback, and what lessons did you learn in the process from the feedback that you received from the users when the tournament resumed?
Yeah, so of course, all the hard work that we did to get all the users on our platform, we got a good response from it. We got a lot of registration in that tournament. Everybody was happy that day. Everything was going fine until the first round completed. So the first round of the tournament completed, and then suddenly some tech glitch happened and the server stopped working. Of course, that was a challenge. I would say that challenges are always there, but once you overcome those challenges, then you go towards the success, right? So the server crashed. There was, I recollect by that point of time, we had around 10 people in our team, right? Everybody was very excited, but as soon as the server crashed, most of us got worried. But that point of time, we had a dilemma that what should we exactly do at that moment? Should we fix our servers immediately, or should we talk to our customers who are constantly calling us back that what exactly happened in that tournament, right? So we decided that we'll put the customers first in our priority. We got together as a team. We took the calls of all the customers. Almost all of the member of our team talked to the customers. We reassured them that nothing is a problem here, right? We will fix it, and then maybe after 1 week we can continue this tournament. Right now the first round is completed, but the remaining rounds of the tournaments will resume in the
and I think the users would have appreciated that, because typically when such things happen, organizations clam up, they don't communicate. But here the fact that you and your team were at it, communicating to them, sort of allaying their concern, it tells something about you, what you stand for, and by nature then reflects on the brand.
Right. And in I would like to add in this also that this is on the day of the tournament failed, right? Then what we did was, as a team, we got together, moved back to the whiteboard, and then we identify all the gaps that we had in our systems. And within a week, we fixed all of them. Everything was stable from the technology part and the process part. And then, of course, the next week, then we resumed the tournament. And if I talk about the tournament again, that whatever learnings we had on that day.
The biggest lesson that you learned that day, what was it?
Yeah, that was that you will always face challenges, but once you overcome those challenges, that will be the part to success.
All right. Yeah. Let's look at the other aspect of it. That Gameskraft was among the first players in this industry to offer same-day withdrawal to users. So, how important was this move in the context of retaining users and building loyalty in a very competitive sort of ecosystem? Because you learn from these challenges. Now the question is, how do you build the attractiveness? And same-day withdrawal for a lot of the new users would have been, wow, is this possible? Because you would think, I play and then maybe after a period of time I get that money. How important was that same-day withdrawal element, and what are the experiences you went through on that front?
Sure. So it's very important. So specifically in RMG, the funds always belongs to the customers. And as a philosophy at Gameskraft, what we think is the greatest experience the consumer will have is whatever belongs to them, we give it back to them as soon as possible, right? Back in 2017, when we started Gameskraft, we saw that there is a gap in the industry, that the funds or the withdrawals, we call it specifically, is not processed within the same day the user has requested for it. So what we thought, that as a team, there is a huge gap in the industry. Maybe we could use a lot of technology around it to process these withdrawals as soon as possible, right? On a lighter note, I used to go to the banks, right? The whole day I used to code and, think about product design. And then at the evening, I would go to the bank so that all the withdrawal request that has been placed should be processed on the same day itself. And since I was a techie at heart, I used to not waste my time at the bank while they were doing their job, while processing the withdrawals. I used to take out my laptop and then, code so that in future we can automate the withdrawal processing.
I think there's a big lesson there for a lot of the viewers who are watching. A lot of them are startup founders, that you need to walk the talk, right? Business is also about boots on the ground and you going to solve a problem in the face of challenges, even if you have to go out and to solve it on your own.
Sure.
Fair point. Big lesson there. But let's also get down to the brass tacks on the whole marketing and retention aspect. And let me bring you in for that, Sumanta, because user rewards and user entertainment, those are two pillars for Gamecraft's success as per my understanding of it. So take us through how marketing campaigns themselves have evolved at Gameskraft for Rummy Culture, which enables you to keep expanding your user base.
Right. So as Prithvi said, product is very primary to us. So when you have a great product, it markets itself to a certain extent. So we have been very careful about consumers come to us, or the players come to us to get entertainment. We entertain them in the best possible manner and give them the best product experience that they can get anywhere. So gaming is sort of a commoditized market. So you have to have certain X factors there which can help you retain those users. So one of being what belongs to the customer has to be given back to the customer, and everything has to work. I'm pressing a button and I'm expecting certain action to happen. If that doesn't happen, I'm not giving my experience. So we first figured out what are the things that need to work the way they work, and then built on top of that. When we talk about retention and communication, we were very, very clear that we would not be bombarding any of our players with unnecessary communication. Whatever communication is necessary for them, and it is adding value to the customer.
Right context
At right time. So basically, people, you would see there are a lot of orgs, they just bombard communication across. So that is not how we look at communication. So we look at communication as a cohort. Like if somebody is playing a certain type of game and somebody is, behaving a certain kind of way on your game. So we have to, if somebody is playing, say, I'll give you an example, somebody is playing a tournament. So I'll give them all the opportunities that they can capitalize by playing a tournament. If they're not playing a certain type of game, there's no point pushing them for that, right? They'll just be bothered and disengage themselves from the app and from the product. So basically, we have been trying to first things first, the product right, the functionalities right, and communicate at the optimum level. And not over communicate, not under communicate. So that is what has, and on the rewards part, I can very confidently say Rummy Culture is one of the most rewarding platforms that we've got. You can compare all the games that are there in the domain, and we take pride in saying that Rummy Culture has been the most rewarding platform that is there still now in this domain.
All right, but I also want to understand in the context of scaling up, right? Because you grew, and the number of the millions of games that you offered within Rummy Culture every day, scaling up from its modest roots and accommodating now, I think 350,000 users daily. So as you scale up this big, how have you deepened engagement and analytics to understand your customers better and deliver better value to them? Because you're getting a large cohort of customers, which is great, which helps you understand them and also segment them. But I want to understand more about the use of engagement and analytics, and also how, say, the partnership with CleverTap helps you in this aspect.
Right. So the two keywords that you picked up is analytics and customer engagement. So analytics is a core of marketing. So without analytics, it's if you try and do marketing without analytics, you're shooting in the dark. You don't know where your dart falls, right? So the analytics function is a very core to a marketing function. It is, people usually associate analytics with product, analytics with tech. But here at Gameskraft, analytics is at core at all the marketing. And on the communication part, as I was talking to you about, the communication has to be very succinct, very on time. So any communication that is not on point or delayed, loses its essence. So basically, you cannot be communicating to the entire player. I have millions of players. I just wake up with some message and bombard them. So we avoid doing such things. So we sort of say which time of the day they are playing, which time of the day they are active, which weekday are they active. So I know you don't play on a Saturday and Sunday. Why would I bother? You have something important to do. I'm wasting my communication efforts. So basically, we go down till that level to see personalize it at a personal level.
Hyper-personalized.
Hyper-personalized level. And CleverTap, has been a great partner with us for them. And CleverTap has been there since the inception, since we started. The first, tool that was, onboarded was CleverTap before anything else happened. Yeah, and I don't know, Prithvi might have been a part of that onboarding team as well in the tech side of things.
So how do you find it right now, in the sense that when you're using it, you said it's one of the first tabs that you take us through the impact points?
Sure. So basically, when we were very small, so the one size fits all used to work for us. You have 1,000 users, 2,000 users, doesn't make much of a difference. What do you do about it? When that number kept growing, we had to stay in the strategy. So we used to, first thing that I was talking about was, first thing, before you hyper personalize, you have to have a cohort. Like these are the group of people. Then you go into the hyper personalization mode. First you cohort. Then you look at the reach frequency, which I was talking about. What day or time of the day? How frequently do you play? You don't play on Tuesdays. You come on Wednesdays. So reach frequencies was something, and we were, and also you ensure that optimal communication. There are certain devices that stop the communication. So we worked very closely with CleverTap to enhance the deliveries, and so that we could optimize, because and the delivery of your communication of supreme important. So we worked very closely with CleverTap. We had weekly sync ups, we had monthly sync ups. We were part of their product meets as well. So usually, teams don't involve, their clients into the, product maps. So they were gracious enough to include us in their product roadmap, and we have been working, brilliantly, and we look forward to take this in the future and build a much more cohesive brand for the gaming audiences.
It would make conversations between you and Prithvi easier in terms of you telling him why, say, certain marketing initiatives are important. We'll explore that later. But speaking of what you said about communication, that is very important, especially in the context of, say, consumer fatigue. So I want to understand some best practices, some of the do's and don'ts that Gameskraft follows in terms of, say, targeted communications with its users across channels to ensure brand loyalty and increase player referrals with minimal acquisition costs. What are some of the do's and don'ts that you would suggest?
Right. So basically, as the entire conversation has been focused around what exactly should we do. So basically, whatever you communicate should add value and should be exciting for the customer to know. It should make sense in whatever he does in his day-to-day life while he's playing. So we keep the communication to very precise. In fact, we go to the limits of saying one customer will not receive more than X communication from Gameskraft on any point of the time. And it's a global limit. Whether it is a promotional message, whether it is an operational message, we limit it. So basically, you would not see Gameskraft bombarding you with 15 PNs, 4 messages, and 3 emails. So that is utter waste. So we have gone up to saying communicate only when it is important for the customer. You are adding value to his life. Don't communicate just for the sake of communication. And bringing back to the referral, and referral has been a very, very significant part of our customer acquisition strategy. So during the walk, me and Prithvi walk in an alley, and he would leave everything. Referral kitna chal raha hai? So you can understand the emphasis that we have on referral. So why referral is so important for us? Referral is important because we have to have acquire a customer at a given cost. We are a profitable company. We cannot everything has to match onto those numbers. So in order to keep a customer acquisition cost low, because you are competing with all others on Google's, Facebook's of the world and OTTs of the world, so you don't have an edge there. Where do you build the edge? You build the edge through referral. And how can you do that referral? So basically, you look at the people, and you look at people who, so do people refer in the first 15 days of their lifetime, post 15 days of their lifetime? People of which region tend to refer more? People of which region tend to refer less? and then you sort of customize those communication, saying like, we see that it makes sense when people are at that certain age and maturity into the system. When they are confident of the system, they would like to call on to their friends. Because today, day zero, I call, hey, come on, why don't you refer? I said, I don't know myself. How can I refer? So basically, we cut it down to that level, and CleverTap has been very helpful in making that cohorts, reaching out to the right cohort, delivering the right message at the right time. Basically, bringing the communication, the marketing strategy together, and building us referral. And I would not shy away from saying that we have one of the best referral programs. I know you could be sounding brand.
You're a marketer, so you will
have to market.
You will market it, but it optimizes your marketing budgets as well.
Right. So customer acquisition costs are under control, and we have planned for great referral marketing campaigns in the future, which I won't disclose right now.
But we'll look forward to it. Of course, we'll see it in the ecosystem as it progresses.
Absolutely.
Along.
Yeah.
All right. Let's also understand a bit more about the company, Prithvi, because Gameskraft has grown from say 5 to a 700 plus strong organization within just 5 years. So I want to understand from you, what makes it an attractive destination for talent, and as an organization, how do you gear up to be more customer centric?
Right. So first of all, I would like to say that this journey has been great, and I'm honored to have seen this journey from the front seat. And for all the crafters that have been there with us in the past and the present, all of them has done like great job. They have shown dedication and all the efforts that they've done. I'm very thankful to all of them, right? And focusing about keeping the 700 plus strong organization together, I think the important part is I think there are two elements I would like to focus is one is the individual and the other one is the company. Right? In the individual, we always promote the customer obsession as a core value to our ways of working, right? So whatever you do, however big or small it should help our customers, and we should keep our customers at the top of the priority list, right? Always. And then to make the individual very efficient every day, what we focus on is we focus on giving them enough authority while working along with the responsibility, so that individually they have a great ownership and whatever work they are doing, right? And the other part is if we focus on the company part, then of course growing from 5 to 700 plus, our culture should be very strong, right? It's the core of the organization. So we focus on the culture a lot. We always try to make it more inclusive, more progressive, and of course since we are a gaming company, it should be fun also, right? Our culture and all day-to-day work, the fun should always be the core part of it, right? And moreover, last but not the least, we always invest in individual development programs, right, which helps them, all the crafters, become better in their career and in their life as well.
You take care of employees and they'll
Very
take care
well,
of
right.
you. Absolutely. All right. From the organization, I want to explore a question on visibility, and I'll come to Sumanta on that. Sumanta, Gameskraft has had a relatively subdued public image where it's product that they're talking so far. So as we look at the Indian gaming sector sort of hitting that $5 billion mark by 2025, could we see Gameskraft becoming more visible in the public eye, in your opinion?
Right. So as you correctly pointed out, so we believe our product to do the most of the talking. So, and if your product is great, people will talk for you, and the product basically talks for you. And we would look forward to proper opportunities, and we will take this opportunity as and when it comes. We'll definitely, as you correctly mentioned, that it is going to be a $5 billion industry, and we are very glad that we have been able to be a part of it and contribute to it, and take it to that height that people take note of being a sector. And at Gameskraft, you will see us, as and when the opportunity prop up. So that's, you can rest assured, we'll see more of us.
As they say, picture abhi baki hai. So let's wait and watch what happens. But as we head to the last leg of the conversation, I also want to get some lessons in excellence from the both of you. So we'll start with you, Prithvi. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from Gameskraft journey of sort of becoming, India's fastest growing gaming company in such a short time that you could share with our viewers? As I mentioned earlier, many of them are startup founders. So some lessons from your side as you speak to our viewers.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest lesson I would say is there will be a lot of challenges, right, in your journey. But the challenges in some way are more of learnings and blessings in disguise, right? If you overcome your challenges, then you will be closer towards success.
Adversity is opportunity, so don't
Right.
take it as a negative, rather
Right.
than take it as a positive and as a learning
Exactly.
experience.
Right. Our tournaments is one of the great example of this. That once we overcome the challenges, and then in 2017 we started, the tournament crashed. But after few years, when we launched our tournament and then we optimized it using all the technology, and we were able to organize the largest online rummy tournament in the world.
The
And
Guinness
we got
record
the
that
Guinness
you got.
World Record as well, right?
Absolutely. So it's always a learning experience, and I'm sure our audience appreciates that. Shumanta, your point of view, lessons from your perspective.
Right. So from the marketing perspective, I would say spend your money very, very judiciously, and look at the customer acquisition cost, look at the lifetime values, and also look at your brand salience as well. So if you look at these three things and you take all your marketing decisions, there is hardly any scope that you could go wrong. So look at your numbers and then take a call.
Look at your numbers. Always make sure that you dot the I's and of course cross the T's, as they say. Any last words of advice from your side, Prithvi, for our viewers? Especially when you talk about running a startup, you mentioned learning from adversity. Any advice that you would give if you could speak to Prithvi of 5 years ago right now? What would you say to them?
5 years ago, if I have to speak to myself, then I would say that there are two key tenets to the success, or rather running a successful organization is, first, you focus on the customer, right? Customer obsession is the best thing to have in your organization. You are building products for your customers. If customers are happy, they have your trust, then they will be with you always, right? And the second tenet would be, you focus on the team, your employees, because they are the ones who are going to build great products for you and for your customers.
All right. On that special note, we'll wrap up our conversation. It's been a pleasure speaking both to you, Prithvi, and to you, Shumanta, and understanding how Gameskraft scaled up to such a level and yet made its users want to keep coming back for more. Thank you so much, Prithvi and Shumanta, for sharing with us the story of how Gameskraft scaled up exponentially and yet made its users want to keep coming back for more. Lots of lessons there. And for many of our viewers who themselves might be thinking of starting a business someday, these insights could serve as a great reference point. Well, now that we know about the growth story of Gameskraft, it's time now to get an inside perspective on their investment journey as well. Well, there are over 350 million plus online gamers in India, and the market is estimated to touch $1.5 billion by this year and expected to cross $5 billion by 2025. Now, looking at the numbers, this offers a huge opportunity for players in the near future venturing in the gaming business in India. So, let's now speak to Ramesh Prabhu, CFO at Gameskraft, on how he sees the Indian gaming industry and the investment story behind Gameskraft panning out. Hey Ramesh, great to have you with us and look forward to speaking with you and understand more the investment story of Gameskraft. But how do you feel right now?
I'm excited.
A mix of emotions.
A mix of emotions, right? Because for Gameskraft, this is also a point wherein where people have started talking about us, right? Till date, the focus of the company was not focusing too much on PR or any media attention. The focus was on business. But now we reached a stage where people are talking about us, and it's great to talk to you.
That's the best. And let's talk a bit more about the business, because
Absolutely.
the business has been doing well. In fact, when I look at financials, Gameskraft, they boast of an effective cross-functional machinery which can grow without relying on external funds. I'm sure many companies out there envy you right now. So I want to know from you, what's your secret to sort of becoming this self-sustaining business which is growing from internal accruals? And in your opinion, it also gives you freedom to do a lot of things, take a long-term view on projects. If you can give some of those highlights, how that freedom kind of helps you make customers come to you.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. So we're a 5-year-old company. Since inception, we were bootstrapped, right? The focus of the company has always been on organic growth. How do I focus on using my internal accruals towards further investments and therefore propel further growth, right? And to our advantage, the industry itself grew multifold, and that was a big tailwind for the company itself. As a management and the entire team of Gameskraft, we are very much focused towards ensuring that we provide maximum customer delight by providing the best possible products. And therefore, what has happened is, once you provide great product, effectively the business has really picked up, and we were in a position to redeploy all the accruals that we were earning, and that gave us the huge growth that we see today. In terms of the benefits of being bootstrapped, I mean, there are a lot of benefits, right? So what happens is, once you're bootstrapped, the management team is a smaller team, very focused. There are decisions which are made quicker, faster decisions are made, and therefore it's also easy to review the progress and make any rectifications to whatever decisions are made, right? Rectifications.
It's more hands-on.
It's more hands-on. So these are the factors. And then from the business perspective, we are very careful in ensuring that every rupee we spend is used in a most efficient manner. And we have been monitoring and been extremely careful in terms of customer acquisition cost. And therefore, we are, we're a proper business in that sense, right? So, I mean, these are the benefits.
You've done your revision, as they say, before every exam.
Yeah.
You do have a revision, but that gives you that confidence to give that exam.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you do your homework properly helps your company know what it is doing, how every penny is being spent.
Absolutely.
And gives a certain sense of accountability, and also gives the confidence to spend, because you know that will get a good ROI. On that note, let me also ask you, you mentioned that the gaming industry overall is growing. And there are various parts, because a company might not have the best parts for everything. So in terms of investing areas to grow and capitalize on this growth which we are seeing in the Indian gaming industry, give us an overview, or which are the key areas you're looking at to invest?
So from the investment perspective, as a company, our philosophy is more on organic growth, right? We believe that the potential for growth within India itself is so huge, and we have that skill and that technology expertise within the company itself. So the focus has always been on organic growth. We make a lot of investments to build the product and take it to the next level, providing the top-notch sort of product to the customer. Then we invest a lot of money towards our people, and therefore, so having understood this, while the focus is on organic growth, focus is on investing, redeploying our investment earnings into further investments within the company. The diversification is twofold, right? One is diversification in terms of the number of product and kind of gaming products that you offer. So we also make a lot of investments towards R&D, developing new sort of games, trying to understand what the customer needs. The customer needs are constantly evolving, because gaming is the world is one place, right? There are developers, consumers from everywhere. So to understand this and building the right sort of products, we may make a lot of investment there, and also that lot of investment towards technology. That is the focus at this point in time. That's the investment philosophy. But having said that, we are constantly looking for great investment opportunities which can add to the synergies of the company, right? So that is something we're always constantly looking at. So yeah, that's what we are.
So improving your existing games, the R&D aspect of that, and probably expand the gaming bouquet to audiences.
Yes.
These are two areas where you
Absolutely.
see in terms of investment. Fair point. Let's also look at the consumer retention aspect, because we are we are in this show called The Big Leap, where the focus is looking at, how these brands, these successful brands manage to retain customers. So from an investment story perspective, I want to get your viewpoint, because multiplayer gaming, that requires a volume of users to join in, that improves the experience because there's a broader pool. So what do you think, where do you think rather that Gameskraft's user retention strategies has helped them sort of stand out from the competition? Because it's a very competitive space where the bulk of users who join, who stay back with you, they can be engaged better and therefore monetized better.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, what does Gameskraft do right versus competition?
So, gaming is a very competitive space. Therefore, the most critical aspect we have understood and we believe is customer trust. One is, of course, customer delight, providing the entertainment they seek, and then the customer trust. So we make a lot of investment towards this. How do we do that? Of course, we run a lot of customer programs. We do a lot of investment towards a lot of retention programs. So that's an ongoing thing. Apart from that, what we also do is we ensure that the products that we offer to the customers, to build in the trust element, we also undergo various audits. And we are today ISO certified, no bot certification is something we obtained. So all these factors add to the trust element. I think that is a sort of focus that we have, right? Apart from that, of course, we constantly evolve, right? We are always evolving in terms of providing the latest technology, providing the experience, the customer delight. When a customer comes on my platform, the kind of experience and delight he gets, that is very important. So we work towards providing unmatched experience. So these are the factors, and that is from the customer angle, right? Then from the business perspective, it's also important for us that we focus a lot towards ensuring there is optimal customer acquisition cost which goes in, and ensuring that optimization of LTV or lifetime value of the customers who play on the platform. So these factors, I think, is why I believe we are today one of the top gaming companies in India.
Perfect. So expanding on the business aspect which you mentioned, how do you see the business model itself now evolving? Because you won the first leg of the race, but let's say it's a marathon, right? Now comes the second leg. So where do you see the business model evolving? Because user habits keep changing, regulatory environment changes, a whole lot of the ecosystem itself changes.
Yes.
So what's the next step in terms of the business model?
So we strongly believe that the business model that we've built today is a very solid business model, and our performance speaks for itself, right? But we always keep tweaking and making changes to the model as in how we see the customer needs, customer requirements keep on evolving and changing. So, like I said, we do a lot of investment towards R&D. This factor actually rolls up into the evolving of a business model wherever changes are required. So that's a constant process, ongoing process, and that is something we clearly are focused towards, right? Apart from this, as a company, we are a highly law compliant company. Legal compliance is very high. We take it very seriously. And the gaming industry itself it's a very new industry in India, right?
A sunrise
sector. From the regulatory perspective, there also we are in a very early stage. But today, as we speak, a lot of regulatory frameworks are being put in place. And we as a company believe that these regulatory frameworks, the ones they start coming in, this will be the next catalyst for the growth for the industry.
Because you'll have more certainty.
More certainty, the customer safety is taken care of. Then we don't have fly-by-night operators. There are more investments that will come into the industry itself. I mean, these are the factors, I think, which will help the industry to take the next leap.
Fantastic.
And we as a company, we will be in the forefront, ensure we take
You will leapfrog to growth.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic.
And as a company, our vision has always been to provide unmatched experiences every day and everywhere. That is something we will continue.
So looking at the India experience, you've done great. So will there be expansion into other countries as well? Because in any growth conversation that comes up, right? You've done well in one market and it's a very tough market. So the thought would also be that let's apply some of those learning into some of the other markets and branch out. So your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, I think that's a very interesting question, of course. So we are proud to be a Make in India company. Right? All the investments happen here, all the developments happen here, people are sitting here. We develop the best international quality products. But having said that, as I said previously, we see India at a very early stage of growth. And the growth, so like we say, tip of an iceberg, right? We are in that sort of a situation because we as a company believe that the growth potential in India itself for the entire gaming space is enormous. Tremendous growth opportunities are going to come in the very near future. So we are gearing ourselves to participate and take it to the next level. So today, in terms of growth, in terms of investment and growth and expansion, right? The focus is clearly India at this point in time. Indian market is a focus. But having said that, again, if we see any opportunities, and having said that, again, it's not that we are not looking at international operations. We are constantly always having a sort of a radar wherein we are always scanning the possible opportunities that are available there. Whenever we see that we find a great opportunity, we will definitely go for it.
That's
So
the advantage
what
I have because everything is, in a sense, you have the experience for, so you can quickly kind of deploy your
Absolutely.
resources and move into a geography if you find that it fits into your strategic framework.
True.
Fantastic. Well, I wish you all the best, Ramesh, and of course to Team Gameskraft for newer levels of growth being
Absolutely.
unlocked. And thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been great speaking with you.
Thanks to you.
And with that, we come to the end of this episode of ET Brand Equity Presents The Big Leap, powered by CleverTap. I hope you enjoyed listening to these leaders and their growth stories. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. We'll be back again with the next episode with 2 more stories. Till then, this is your host, Gautam Srinivasan, signing off. Have a great day.